Hey folks, haven't uploaded anything lately. I got to that whole day 90. I have not relapsed. It's basically no fap life at this point for me. And kind of a chill Saturday. I'm going to head out and get to the study hall and put in some hours over there. Get some work done. But um, what do I want to talk about? Let's see. Well, a couple of things. I follow a few YouTubers in particular on the whole Nofap, journey, Nofap community. And for some of them, if vlogging doesn't help, then try something else. Find out what actually works to get you far enough along the path that you feel like you've succeeded, you've rebooted, you've recovered, you're not an addict anymore. Success is thy proof, so whatever works. Of course, as long as it doesn't lead to another addiction or more problems in your life. But I understand. Like I used to be on the Nofap forum, for instance, and I had like a journal there, and it felt better for me to do that because I was really super introverted and kind of like paranoid in a sense with social anxiety. But like if I was to be sitting here making a video and talking about my PMO addiction and that sort of thing, and being afraid that people would hear and find out and know that, hey, this is what I do, this is my problem. So I would go on there, and it worked for a while. It got me to like day 54, I think it was, yeah, before I relapsed that last year. Um, but eventually, I started trying out this stuff and really like working on things with social anxiety and that sort of thing. As part of NoFap. So eventually I found that this stuff really helped me, and some of it was the views, some of it was the comments, some of it was the likes, the subscriptions. That kind of feedback, that positive feedback um, from other people who were on NoFap and were doing YouTube vlogging and came across my channel. So some of that is what made vlogging the thing for me, but for other people it might not be the thing that gets them out of the rut they're in, with PMO. So whatever works for you. Though like with people like 24/7 Betterment, I really do like seeing the vlogs, and it's like it kind of reminds me of that dude Ryan Adam Murray. How I found out that he had just he had passed away a couple of years ago, and how much of a shock it was to me. Even though I never met the guy face to face or anything, but he had a significant influence on a lot of my philosophy of life, and even my involvement with magic, occultism, mysticism, even my views on religion, and maybe not so much politics. I mean, at least not in a direct sense. But just seeing someone like disappear from YouTube can especially if you even following them and you have some sort of connection, as far as like me being on NoFap, other folks being on NoFap, see them leave YouTube and just kind of like disappear. It can be kind of disheartening. I know there's this other guy, Complete.me, I think it was his YouTube channel name. He just disappeared as well. I mean, I know life happens, and like I said, if vlogging doesn't work for you, then find what works out for you. But it'd be nice to every once in a while do like an update video, like, hey, I've gotten so many days further, or this is what's happened, or what have you. That'd be nice. But whatever. You do what works for you. Other than that, let's see. Oh, two other main things I wanted to discuss. Well, one thing um, that I've noticed, I think it was, I don't remember who it was in particular, but um, it seems like if we really dig deep enough, one of the major issues, one of the major things that causes people to relapse, and I mean, I've had stuff happen lately that kind of got me to think further upon this. Realizing that for one thing, I haven't completely gotten over it, but it's this whole idea of female validation. And again, I'm referencing 24/7 Betterment's video, talking about how he relapsed and he was alone at home. His parents had gone out, and how he's feeling really lonely and that sort of thing. And the need for love, his need for love, everyone's need for love and acceptance, and that sort of thing. And given that I'm 30 years old, and the last decade of my life, you know, a lot of it was wasted because I was going out essentially trying to find validation from other people, from friends, and in particular from girls, you know, trying to get that girlfriend, you know, go out on those dates, um, have that kind of, you know, feedback from the girls I actually liked and so on. And, you know, I just realized that, like, you know, having turned 30, that, and I think that's kind of a hard thing to contend with. And once you start getting, you know, 30 years and above, you start starting to feel old, you know what I'm saying? But I realized that you gotta take responsibility for your own happiness. You can't expect other people to make you happy, to give you that happiness. To, you know, it's not their job, and it's not. I'm not saying that in the harsh sense, like, you know, you're not doing your job. You're supposed to be making yourself happy. Why aren't you happy? I'm not saying it in that sense because um, I know it's hard. You know, I'm doing it, dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. Like, for instance, yesterday I had a conversation with my mom. I was at this German restaurant, and my mom said my family's mostly German in heritage, and, you know, for years I've had this sort of problem with connecting with that side of the family, culture-wise, and, you know, heritage-wise, heritage-wise, because I mean, we're German American on that side of the family, but it's been kind of like, it's kind of come out of this, you know, problem of relationship with my mother, not being able to connect with her and get along with her for a number of reasons. And I got to talking with her, you know, tomorrow's Mother's Day, so, you know, I was like, what the heck, I'll give her a call, you know, and, you know, talked with her, and I told her, you know, where I was at, because, like, um, getting into German cuisine, you know, culture, history, especially German American culture and history and cuisine, has been sort of my way of not only redefining my relationship with that side of my family, but also um, trying to connect with my mom, you know, emotionally, because it's like, you know, she's been very much into her German heritage and culture and that sort of thing. She was raised in that, you know, growing up in Wisconsin, you know, it's a very heavily German American area. And so it's, you know, kind of been my way of trying to connect with her. But we get into this conversation, and, you know, she starts asking me, like, you know, what's going on with me, because, you know, I haven't been really talking with them that much. And um, you know, obviously get into the whole fact that I'm on academic probation. I'm trying to get off of that. I'm trying to get to graduation finally. I haven't been in school for so long, and it's kind of like she, in a sense, I mean, from one angle, she was trying to be understanding and that sort of thing, because I've had bad stuff happen to me. I've, you know, been robbed at gunpoint. I have sort of, you know, anxiety attacks. I don't know if I'd call it per se PTSD. You know, that's more of a, you've been in traumatic situations over a prolonged period. You know why? That's why people in the military have PTSD when they've gone on 5 tours, you know, combat tours to some foreign country, 6 to 7 months at a time. Yeah, they're in all likelihood going to have PTSD. But, you know, I had anxiety attacks after being robbed at gunpoint. It impacted my academics really negatively. There was stuff that happened with my family, you know, medical emergencies and that sort of thing. So she was bringing that up as, you know, well, you know, you're where you're at, not necessarily because of your fault, you know, your actions and so on and so forth. But then she kind of suggested, well, that, you know, about changing my major, which, for one thing, I can't do at this point. I have so many units. I have to just get to graduation. They're not going to let me, you know, you have to go through this whole approval process, and I would have to explain that to her and get her to understand that. And there would have been a whole, you know, slew of arguments and whatnot, and then drama and etc. But it was kind of like she was almost, like, she was trying to be understanding, but at the same time she was also implying that, oh, maybe I should drop out. And it's like, you know, I've done so many things in my life, education-wise, relationships with, you know, the girls that I've either tried to date or did date, um, you know, etc., trying to get this validation, because, you know, if I get that engineering degree, if I get married, have kids, do all those things, you know, my mom and my, you know, by extension the rest of my family, they'll feel proud of me. They'll, you know, pat me on the back. They'll, you know, good job, you know, you made us so proud. And, oh, look, here's our grandkids, you know, or here are our grandkids. Need to use my proper English, my knowledge of, I guess, grammatically correct English or whatever. But anyways, um, but, you know, I had that experience once more, where it was like, you know, what can I say, what can I do, Mom, to, like, make you actually accept me 100% and be okay with me, you know, because like there's not really, I don't know, it's like there's not really that all that much about me that's out of the norm, you know what I'm saying? Um, Straight guy, I have a girlfriend. Yeah, it's long distance, but still, I know I haven't gotten my degree yet. I'm 30 years old, and it's not like I have the excuse of being in the military or something like that to, not have it already. You know, all these things. I know, like, I'm not perfect in that sense, in at least as far as the images that's been given to me of what would be acceptable by my parents, my mom in particular, to a lesser extent my father, and all that. So, it's like I understand the desire, the desire for validation, especially from women. If you're talking about girls you want to date, or even heck, like feeling like you're the good son in the eyes of your mother, or if you want to go up beyond just the gender thing, you're going into just people in general, getting that pat on the back from your dad, or getting that, thumbs up from your boss, or, you know, what have you, You want to feel validated, you want to feel accepted, you want to feel wanted, you want that love, you want that acceptance, but really, like, as much as that is to a certain extent necessary in life, I've found that the times that I have felt the best have been those times when I accomplished things that I believed in, that I wanted, and that I hadn't given up on, and then I'd crossed that line, that finish line, and gotten the medal that I wanted, so to speak, and that's when I felt the best. It wasn't because somebody else would tell me, you gotta get this, you gotta get that, or you gotta accomplish these things, or you need to look a certain way, or dress a certain way, or say certain things, or what have you. Then, oh, I did those things and they, gave me whatever reward it is. So, in order to avoid relapsing, for me in this case, but in general, I'd also say in general, you have to find those things in your life that you can do, that you want to do, you want to accomplish, and take the necessary steps to accomplish them as best you can. Obviously, life does happen and things do get in the way, and it doesn't always go the way you wanted it to go, but you have to set your own goalposts, so to speak, your own milestones, and then get to those goalposts, get to those milestones, and use that to get that sense of, self-esteem, and, love of yourself, and happiness in being who you are, and where you're at in life, and so on, and not try and, seek that out from other people. And that's where I see that PMO comes into this, because it's like simulating that validation in the form of a sexual relationship with, not just one woman, but 20, 100, 300, 5,000 women who are all wanting you, and you're like, you're the man, and you're desirable in every single possible way. And I'm not gonna get into a very way cruder language than that, but PMO is just like simulating that massive reward of ultra validation from females, and if you get into that, I think it can really feed into a negative mindset that, even if you do get some measure of validation from women eventually along the way, it can just create a negative backlash, because it's not like as perfect as it seems to be in PMO land. So ultimately, in order to resolve that big issue, like I say, you gotta create your own goalposts, your own milestones, figure out what you want to do with your life that's going to make you happy, make you feel fulfilled, regardless of, I wouldn't, not necessarily regardless of what others would think, because obviously some things, and if you wanted to get into extreme examples, I mean, there's something people will do to get that thrill, get that rush, get that feeling of fulfillment that either A, or might be illegal, or B, might be immoral or unethical, but within reasonable boundaries, figure out what it is that you can do to feel that sense of accomplishment, and that sense of fulfillment, and that sense of self-esteem, and then do those things, and don't try to find your happiness from other people. excuse me, don't try to gain your happiness from other people, or your sense of fulfillment, sense of wantedness, and that sort of thing from other people. Um, you know, I mean, having a girlfriend now is nice for me. Getting married, having kids, I mean, I want that, but I'm not trying to look at that as, that's what's going to make me happy. It's a struggle, but I'm trying. Um, and of course, I'm not saying don't seek out relationships or what have you. And, if you do get that validation from women to some extent, you do get that feeling of wantedness and love and so on, that to reject it, don't. I would say, if it works for you. Um, but ultimately, your happiness has to come from within, and your self-esteem has to come from within. So let's see what else. Oh, final thing I wanted to talk about was a tendency, and I think I have talked about this in the past, but um, it's this tendency I've seen among a lot of folks, and it's not just no-fappers, it's people in general. They don't want to actually really honestly, they want to dance around whatever it is that's actually causing them the problems in their life. They don't want to actually talk about it or get to the point. And I think, for instance, for NoFap, unless we actually confront what our underlying issues are, whatever they may be, we're obviously not going to make progress, and we're going to end up, well, it might not be inevitable, but it's highly likely that you'll end up relapsing if you don't really face up to whatever it is, whether it's the fact that you've been seeking validation from women, or you have other unresolved self-esteem issues, or you had traumatic experiences as a kid or as an adolescent. you know if you don't get those things out there and exorcise them from your psyche and resolve the issues, I think it's highly likely that PMO relapse will happen, just because it's like kind of it's your mind, your psyche trying to um, mitigate or extinguish that underlying pain that you're feeling. And you can look up internal family systems model therapy. I've done a little bit of it, I guess, to a certain extent. That's why I made some serious progress and got to 90 days. Well, now it's day 99 technically of hard mode and day 159 of easy mode. Um, but you can look that up. That's something that I found out from off the train, and it helped sort of make sense of a lot of things that are happening. So, and still happen. So, because I realized, for one thing, that I've internalized a lot of what my parents' expectations have been of me, and the do's and the don'ts, and the sort of feelings of negativity and alienation and self-loathing um, from failing to meet expectations and that sort of thing, or basically not being the quote-unquote good kid at times. Um, but yeah, so we really need to practice a little bit of that courage and name what it is that's really hurting us. Call it out, face it, and then do the real work. Because you keep on dancing around whatever it is that's causing you to relapse, and not digging deep enough to that thing, which it may hurt just to admit that it actually exists and really name it, but you're gonna keep on relapsing unless you face what it is that's causing you to relapse. Because it's not just the immediate stress or anxiety or depression. It's what's causing the stress, anxiety, or depression. And learning how to not only cope with the stuff that's actually there, life in general, basically, but also digging up those things that are buried in your subconscious and expunging them from your psyche. Going through, ascesis, catharsis, basically, a practice of purging and removing negative influences, toxicity, um, negative patterns of behavior, etc., from your life, so that you can actually move forward. So, anywho, that's it for me. I hope I haven't repeated myself too much. I know I have talked about one or two of those things before, but yeah, it's Nofap life at this point. Thinking maybe tomorrow I could start doing a sort of monk mode or night mode challenge, what have you, where I start doing some really intensive physical exercises, cardio, calisthenics, that sort of thing. Oh yeah, and I am reading this book. I've gone further in it, and I'm finding it actually is helping me with some of this stuff. Like just kind of reading a law per day. Like I read Law 10, Infection, Avoid the Unhappy and the Unlucky today, and I read that actually after I was really, really feeling like super negative from really rehashing the conversation I had with my mother, and it's kind of ironic in a sense that I read that book and I actually realized that I had more power over things than I thought I did, and that excuse me, choosing to actively find validation from other sources than some other person, finding it for myself, removing that toxicity, cutting the toxicity out of my life, that I have the power to do that, and that's the way to go. So yeah, see you around, and thanks for watching. Yeah, good luck, bye.